What's up guys, nerdlocker.com here, back with this week's comic book reviews. I'm starting off with Batman Superman number 8. Wasn't a fan of the last story arc, just couldn't get into it. But this current story arc, First Contact, is something I've been waiting for since World's Finest came out, and that they told us that Huntress and Power Girl are Batman's daughter and Superman's cousin from Earth 2. So it's cool to see that they're finally meeting, and it's the typical what you would think it is. I mean, Batman's sketchy, but he does, he does the test, finds out that it is his daughter, not his daughter, his double's daughter, and that, this is Superman's cousin, and treat it just the way, it would be treated. Kara's been having problems with her powers for a very long time now, and this is Superman kind of being the only one who can coach her through that and help her through that. And this is just something I really can't wait to see, like, what it ends up as, because it's cool seeing that these two heroes who we've known to be a big part of the DC universe are still fairly new in the New 52, and this might be their introduction into the bigger world of the New 52. So either way, I'm stoked on this issue. I can't wait to read the rest of the story arc. It's going to go through Batman, Superman, and World's Finest, so if you want to follow it, make sure to pick up both series while this is going. I'm giving this issue 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, I got a chance to read Cataclysm The Ultimates Last Stand number 5, which is the final issue to the Cataclysm saga, if you will, and it's basically tying up everything with basically Galactus from the 616 universe was pulled into the Ultimate Universe, and he sort of merged with the hive mind that is the Ultimate Galactus, and started trying to consume Earth. Well, little did he know that they have this Ultimate Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, who's gone totally rogue and is a total asshole in the Ultimate Universe, which is great. But for this, it was excellent. I mean, he basically pulled it out of his ass and really saved the universe using Kitty Pryde in a really badass way. So I really love the ending of this book, but there's a big sacrifice at the end of this, which leads us into the next arc in the Ultimate Universe, which is good because it means the Ultimate Universe is not over. It leads us into Survive, which I'm interested to see where that goes because of the character that they do sacrifice in this last issue. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. The art by Mark Bagley could have been a little bit better, but Brian Michael Bendis always brings it, so I'm going to give this one, again, 4 out of 5. Check it out.
Hey there guys, Kevin here with my reviews for this week. I got Uncanny Avengers, and I'm going to do first off for you. It was number 17, and holy crap. I've said it a million times. This book should have been the ultimate, event book. That's what it feels like. That's what's going on. That's how it reads, and it's so good. Rick Remender is doing an awesome job with this book. I cannot stress that enough. The things that happen in this book, it's one of those things where they're so heavy, they're so crazy. Oh my God, such big action. But the Marvel Universe still exists in 60 other books. So it's totally all right, I know everything's gonna come out awesome in the end, but if they constructed it, if they planned it out and made it so that way, this is the only book that came out for a week, everyone literally in the world would have pooed their pants with how crazy this book was, and they would have, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh my God. They would have lost it, and it would have been so awesome. I actually love what they're doing with this. Steve McNiven is an amazing artist, and he really comes out in this issue in particular. A lot of big jaw-dropping scenes, a lot of everything that you want in a big action movie, a big action comic. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because it gives you everything you want out of an X-Men and Avengers book dealing with the powers that be in the Marvel Universe. It's amazing. So good.
Hey there nerds, Jim here with my comic books reviews this week. And first up we have Ghostbusters number 13. And I've been reading this for a while, and I called it and saw it came up early. And unfortunately, earlier in the week, we saw that Harold Ramis passed away. And it's very sad because he is one of the creators of Ghostbusters. He and Dan Aykroyd wrote it. So going into it, I was kind of sad because I'm like, wow, one of the creators just passed away, and it's a sad moment for me. But reading on, it's really cool because even though he passed away, this is celebrating 30 years of Ghostbusters with mass hysteria. And it's cool because it starts off with Winston getting married, which is exciting because I think Winston is sometimes lost in the shuffle. So he's getting married, which means the A-team, Ray, Peter, Egon, obviously Winston, are at the wedding, which means the B team of Melanie, Kylie, Alexander, and Ron are covering the mean streets of New York. They've been going all day, all night doing this, and we see them pick up with ghosts at basically an accounting firm. And they take care of the ghosts. Nothing really exciting happens. It's bouncing back and forth between what they're doing and what's going on with the wedding, which nothing terrible goes on. Peter's his usual kind of jerky self, wanting to go party and drink and stuff. But we cut back to the ghoulish stuff going on. They finish, they take care of the ghosts, and they walk outside, and all of a sudden it's raining blood. It's not revealed what's going on, it's just raining blood. And I'm like, that's pretty awesome. But the best part of the whole book is the end, because who returns? Dana Barrett. How awesome, how exciting, how cool. I cannot wait to see where Mass Hysteria goes. I think it's a great homage to 30 years of Ghostbusters, and it's really a nice way to keep Egon going, which I think is fantastic. So I can't wait to see what goes on. I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, I got to read Guardians of the Galaxy number 12. This is part 4 of the trial of Jean Grey with the all-new X-Men crossover. We're still dealing with a Cyclops who is just met his father for the first time because he thought he's been dead this entire time since he was a kid. And Corsair, who we all thought was dead and I'm pretty sure was killed on panel in an earlier book by his other son, Vulcan, is just back, you know, because it's Marvel, and Marvel does crap like that all the time. Who cares, right? Character was dead, but now we can bring him back, but that's an argument I'll get into another time. Corsair's kind of like, dude, we've met, like, I've done this all before. I know this is like brand new to you, but I know you're alive, and older you knows that I'm alive, and, you know, he just doesn't know how to handle it. He has to retell him that his mom's dead, and a lot of that stuff. So that was neat. You kind of see a relationship forming between X-23 and Cyclops, which is weird because I don't think Cyclops is aware that X-23 is a clone of Wolverine yet, and that might freak him out. But we still see Jean Grey on trial. She's finally in front of the tribunal, and Shi'ar is basically like, this is Jean Grey. She was the Phoenix. She destroyed worlds. What do you have to say for yourself? I feel like these next 2 issues are going to be super action-packed, and I'm excited to see what changes you're going to get to both teams with this. I suggest picking this up. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, as always, I'm checking out a #1 from Image Comics this week with the One Hit Wonder, written by Fabrice Sapolsky and drawn by Ariel Olivetti. Yes, I got those names right, which is excellent. The book was kind of weird. It's basically a kid that was in one commercial when he was growing up, and he never really made it past that. And now in his adulthood, he is a hitman for Hollywood. Weird story, but the artwork was great. The story moves along nicely. I want to see where the next issue is going to go. But the character that you're following along, you really don't love him all that much. Obviously, he's a hitman for Hollywood, but he's a total asshole at the same time. So I want you guys to check it out and tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
All right, guys, so I also got to read Superman Lois Lane #1, and why did I do that? Actually, it wasn't that bad. I was very curious as to see what they were going to do with her. I haven't really been keeping too much up on Superman, but I know he's with Wonder Woman. They're all doing their thing and hooking up and whatnot, that stuff. So I get it, and I totally like that relationship. I like that they're doing it. They had an opportunity to actually kind of play with that story, make it make sense. Superman's not a dick because he divorced Lois Lane for the hotter chick or whatever, blah, 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 blah. It laid it out pretty well, and I like that direction. I want to see that go on for a little bit, but I was curious, what's my favorite female reporter in Metropolis doing? And apparently she's helping out her drug-addicted sister. Like, horrible drugs, not even like pot or anything like that. It's like, turns you into a monster. So, whatever, dude. I mean, it was actually a pretty cool story. I just really hated how whiny she was. And she wasn't that bad, but it was kind of just like, oh, my history is so much deeper than what you would think. And it's like, dude, I've heard it before. You're not the first girl I've read about. You know what I mean? Anyways, it was actually decent. I really enjoyed the artwork, especially when like the giant monster fight went down, which is something I would never expect out of a Lois Lane book. But there was a giant monster fight, and when that went down, it was actually really, really awesome to see and read and see. The transformations were cool. The artwork was great, and in one of the better books I've seen in quite a while. Lower tier books I've seen in quite a while. But either way, check it out. I highly recommend it, actually, if you are a fan of the Superman franchise. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. And again, read it, please.
So I got to read Allstar Western number 28. Now we start off with Jonah being brought into the hospital. He's all messed up, bleeding everywhere, and boom, he's in a coma. And we see him with his newfound girlfriend Gina, and she is taking care of Mr. Coma. And it's sort of weird because it's just sort of pages and pages of him being in a coma and her talking to him, and then she meets up with her family, and obviously there's some stress there. Just sort of weird to just, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish, but the one cool thing about this is they talk about Jonah Hex had plastic surgery to fix his scars from the accident, which is referring to this motorcycle accident where he was drinking too much. And they think he was trying to commit suicide, which I can't fathom why anybody would think of that of Jonah Hex. But so we finally get to the point where he's getting his bandages off, and it's kind of this funny point where we all know he's got the scar, and now all of a sudden he's a pretty face. There's no scar at all. I'm like, oh, I wonder how that'll play. So we basically get back to Jonah Hex being Jonah Hex. He's a grumpy old dude who, whatever, meets back up with Booster Gold. Bam, we're going back in the past. And that's why I think this issue was sort of odd, because it was like, what was this build up? And then, all right, cool, we're just going back into his present time, obviously the Old West past. Like, I don't really understand where we're going with this, but it's cool because they're back in the past, back where he belongs, and the scar does come up because he's not able to prove who he really is because he doesn't have the scar, and that's what everybody knows him as. So that's an interesting little twist. But overall, I kind of didn't get the point of this issue. I'm hoping it leads to stuff. It was totally just a filler issue, in my opinion. And for that, I'm only going to give it 2.5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, I got to read Fantastic Four #1. This is James Robinson getting the reins to Marvel's favorite family. And I do have to say, the first beginning of this issue kind of starts off, it's not identical, but it's definitely similar to Matt Fraction's beginning of the run, where the family's in trouble and things, the circumstances are a little bit different, but I just feel it's kind of weird that he would start the story the same way that the last series went, and the last series didn't do too well. So, I mean, I'm going to give James Robinson the benefit of the doubt here. It is the first issue. Some of the stuff seems a little, I don't know, maybe I just have to wait for everything to get fleshed out. Like I said, I like James Robinson a lot. I am going to continue reading this. But as a first issue, it didn't really give me a lot of like, ooh, what's next kind of thing. I was just more like, okay, the family's going to be in trouble in the future. But it wasn't like a cliffhanging #1 issue. But I don't know. Going to continue to give it a chance. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. If you guys read it, let me know what you thought.
Hey guys, I got to check out another #1 this week with The Revenge. I think it was originally solicited as The Revenger, but either way, Jonathan Ross writing and Ian Churchill on the artwork with some of the most disgusting and violent and bloody artwork I've seen since Crossed. This book basically follows a Bruce Willis in Die Hard style scenario where a man, is a part of this whole trilogy of movies, and now in his old age, they want to kind of pass his fame off to the son in the movie franchise, and it really sets him off, and sets him off into this, whirlwind of trying to look younger and act younger and trying to get younger roles and things like that. So the woman he's dating or married to in the storyline gets him to get this, of all things, skin transplant in Mexico, of all places, the best place to trust for scenarios like that, for nice surgeries like that. But yeah, it doesn't really go all that well, and ultimately he has to get his revenge on everybody that screwed with him in this storyline. So I want you guys to check it out because it was really exciting. I really want to see what happens in the next issue, and it was gore beyond all belief. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because I love gore. We do all here at Nerd Locker, so check it out.
All right, guys, so I also got to read Tomb Raider #1. It was called Survivor's Guilt. Oh, man, right? totally heart-wrenching. And I kind of actually thought it was, well, the way it started, it felt like it was the game again, and I was like, wait, this didn't happen in the game, which it picks up off of the brand new reboot that they just did, I think it was 2 years ago, so it's not actually that brand new, but they just put out a brand new HD version of it for your next-gen, current-gen consoles, the Xbox One and your PS4s, and I think on PC also. But either way, it's a really beautiful game. The graphics in it are amazing. The story was really, really great. And showing Lara Croft kind of coming into her own. It's like her first adventure ever. You see the first time she ever killed anyone, blah, 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 blah. That all happens in the game. Blah, 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 blah. Speed up to the comic book, and it picks up pretty much right afterwards. She's still having like crazy post-traumatic stress. Like, oh my God, all this crazy stuff's going on. Her roommate's all weird and stuff because she was like the reason the island went insane. I wouldn't live with that person, but she loves her, so they're living together or whatever. Either way, there was kind of a few like twists and turns that I didn't necessarily feel were like, I didn't feel they should have been there. But it's not my story. Gail Simone did write it, and I trust her because she's an awesome writer. And it turned out to be a pretty awesome like story altogether, but just the character Jonah kind of freaking out and certain things happening was kind of like, whoa. But again, it's the first issue, so I'm going to let it play itself out, see what happens, wax it on, wax it off, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, though, because it was very, very entertaining, and I want to see where this goes. So check it out.
So I got to read Goof #1. The title alone is pretty awesome. Actually, I have 2 books written by Guy Hassan. This is the first one I read. It starts right away. You know that the title matches the book with Captain Gorgeous, who's sort of a goofy looking dude, rescuing a cat out of a tree, and the old woman who is down below is begging him not to do it. So we find out a history of Captain Gorgeous failing at rescuing animals. And we see why. He gets the cat down out of the tree, is allergic to the cat, sneezes, and with his superhuman powers, the cat gets blown into the tree and basically just destroyed. Yeah, it's pretty gross, but it's funny. I thought so. So along we learn that Captain Gorgeous was given powers by aliens, and the aliens are going to check in once a year to basically take stock and give him a review of how he's doing with his powers, and if he's not doing so well, they're going to take him away and give him to somebody else. Even he admits they gave him to the wrong dude. This is like the little brother that everybody picks on, and we even see that in that he goes to meet with his sister to basically have family time. He even describes that his powers won't work with his family. So his family is just picking on him, and it's funny. They do things like set his hair on fire because they know it's going to grow back really quick, and they have no problem with this, and it's, again, funny. We find out that he has PR problems because the news focuses on what he does, and he fights this alien and knocks him out and saves the city, except he had toilet paper on his foot the whole time doing it. So the news focuses on the fact that he clearly went to the bathroom first, walked out with toilet paper stuck to his foot. And he has a publicist, and his publicist is just railing on him for this. And again, it's funny. So they hire a PR team, or I'm sorry, a TV crew to sort of follow him around, and he does no better with that. It's great fun. I really like it. DC had a book in the 90s called Major Bummer, which is sort of a similar concept in that aliens gave this slacker superhuman powers, and they gave it to the wrong person. So it was a pizza delivery guy with superhuman powers. He didn't care. He didn't want anything to do with it. Similar concept, except it's a goof. Just a goofy dude. I like this. I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm going to go ahead and give this first issue 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, I got to read Forever Evil, A.R.G.U.S, #5. Still on Steve Trevor's journey to help save the Justice League because Steve Trevor is a badass, and Sterling Gates did an awesome Robot Chicken Weird Al shout out in this book that made me laugh out loud. It was awesome. But I've said this about all the Forever Evil tie-ins. I'm really enjoying them, and I really like how relevant they are to the story. I'm excited for the final issue here because I feel like you're really going to get to see something with Dr. Light and hopefully lay some new ground down in the New 52 with characters and different kinds of development and stuff. So I'm giving this issue 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Pick it up. Let me know what you thought.
So I got to read Star Wars Legacy #12, and I really enjoy the story. I'm keeping up with it. It's one of the few titles that I try to read on a constant, regular basis. And finally, which kind of sucks because it's already issue 12, but finally we see Han Solo. Like, this is the first time you actually see another Solo besides Ania Solo, which is cool and great, and it's awesome that you didn't, the story's been cool and great, so you don't have to rely on Han or Chewbacca to make it cool. But you finally see him here, and it's like, oh, what? And it's just like, it's almost like a cameo, like it's barely there. But it was enough for me to actually make it like one of the better parts of the book. The story is still kind of, you know, going along its usual pace. It's kind of kinetic. There's a lot of things being thrown at you, so you don't really know what to focus on most of the time. But there's a couple things that the assassin droid kind of says, and it seems like there's a little more backstory there than we were expecting. So that seems really cool, and I can't wait to see what happens. And then there's someone that shows up with a very, very familiar looking mask on, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think there's also more stuff there too. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls is what I'm going to give this book, because goddamn did it deserve it. It was really good. Really good.
So the second Guy Hassan book I read this week was Wynter #1. I'm a little torn on this issue because it felt really slow going through it. I thought the art by Aaron Elakis was very appropriate. I really liked it, sort of edgy. Really liked it, really liked it. I highly recommend reading it just for that. But the story just, to me, started a little slow, a lot of voiceover, a lot of inner monologue, a lot of exposition. And it seems to be that the main character, Liz Wynter, is part of this world at this time. It's in the future where everything is almost iPod-ish sort of thing, where she gets apps and then she has this inner monologue going constantly of things that are going on, so very computer based. And the main point of this is she's constantly saying or being told that she's not special, and she has percentages with everything. And they talk about DNA being the exact same. So it sounds like there's a cloning issue going on. Again, I'm not sure because it didn't address that yet. But as we go through, we find out that she has friends, and she's basically trying to rebel against not being special. So she's trying to be special, but she's constantly told she's not being special. The ending is what got me, because this whole time I'm like, whatever, where is this going? By no choice of her own, she's made special because she has information that nobody else has. But through the events of this book, she's incarcerated, and now she wants out, even though the whole point of being the way she is, she wanted to be incarcerated, a rebel, that sort of thing. So I'm very curious where this is going to go. This issue by itself was a little slow burn. I hope it picks up. If it does, fantastic. If it's not, I'm not so sure. I will read the next one. So for that, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.